make sure you have a microphone in your hand so we can get it recorded and everyone can pick that up.
Hello. John, just a question for yourself. You've had a little bit of a chance to train here the last couple of days. How have you found the MMA culture since you've been here in Australia?
Oh, it's nice. It's a very kind of a blue-collar mentality here in Australia. There's a lot of grit here, and people aren't afraid to put in a hard day's work. And I think that translates well into our support. We have a lot of diehard fans in the Midwest of America for the same reason.
Kyle, question for you, mate. You're back home, you touched on it there, but what was the feeling when you touched down yesterday morning? But you've been over in the States for so long.
Yeah, it's a great feeling. Every time I fly into Australia, I make sure I've got a window seat just so I can see when I'm coming into Australia. I feel like a little kid. I get all excited when I see all the greens and the shores of Australia. But I'm a very patriotic Australian, and just coming home gives me goosebumps even thinking about it. So to be able to fight here in Australia is going to be the highlight of my life.
This could be short.
Marshall, I was just wondering, I was at the press conference about this time last year and you mentioned how you had a giant marketing and advertising campaign ready to go, but then you sold out before one ad hit TV or press. I was wondering what your marketing plan is this time. Are you kind of holding off to see what the ticket sales are like, or you've got stuff in process? What's the plan there?
Yeah, we've allocated a budget for the event, and you're right, we're keeping our powder dry right now. We're going to see how the event goes, but our plan this year is to spend every penny that we have budgeted, even if it's just to market our brand and promote the sport. We have a very, very loyal fan base, and it's growing here, but we're still in a growth stage here, and so that money will be well spent to not only support the event, but support the sport.
Hey, Marshall. I've got a few questions. First, I'd like to ask you, how many tickets will be going on sale? How big will this event be?
So it'll be exactly the same as last year, although I'm working with some of the Acer people now to figure out if there's a way to reconfigure things. We're very optimistic tickets will sell. That roughly means about 17,500 sellable around there. We obviously hold ticket back for fighters and sponsors and things like that. So I would expect this event to be as full, if not more full, than the last event.
Question for John. Do you feel you've been passed over for another title shot? You've been on quite a tear now. Jake Shields may be next up now for GSP. What implications does this fight with BJ have for you for having another title shot? Do you feel if you're successful, you should have fought?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel if I can put in a fantastic performance here with BJ, there's no denying a title shot. I think, we're in the sport of selling fights right now, and the sport's growing. We're trying to get international, trying to get into every country, every household. And part of that ticket sales is the idea of Jake Shields coming over from Strikeforce with 2 belts. I understand that. It's a business decision. I think I'm better than Jake. I think I should be fighting for the title. But I've been given a huge opportunity here to fight BJ Penn. And that's a big fight with belt and no belt.
A question for BJ Penn.
Yes, sir.
BJ, how far out from the fight will you come to Australia? And if so, will you look for a local gym? Have you got an affiliation to a local gym that you want to get involved with?
I don't have any affiliations at the moment. I know that guy real good, though, Elvis. For a while. But, I'm just gonna, I'll probably do my homework and make sure, we got a place to train that's, private and what we need. But I'll probably get here, I'd say a week early. It's not too bad, I guess, from Hawaii, just a 3-hour difference, so kind of the same as if I went to California.
This one for Jamie. If you can just tell us a little bit about your plans over the next, for the lead up to this fight, about your camp. I know you're at the Elite Fight Gym out in Penrith, but you'll be going elsewhere with it.
Well, finding a tour guide is good with his hands, so one of my plan is to go out to San Jose, and I'll be training out of AKA as of next week for 9 weeks. I plan on coming back home a week and a half before the fight, and get some good training up.
One more. George, you're going down to Melbourne this week, still trying to get it legalised down there. How big a passion is that for you to have that? Obviously, you like being in Sydney, but to get it down in Victoria?
You know, I definitely want to fight it at home in front of my local community and have them see for themselves what this sport's about and experience it firsthand. So, you know, I know there's been some recent changes with political parties here, so, you know, hopefully they'll support the UFC.
Elvis here. This was already touched on a little bit, but I'm actually curious to know from all the Australian fighters, Anthony and Kyle and George, Jamie's already mentioned, but are you planning to train over here or overseas in preparations? What's your goals in preparations? I'd just like to know what the Australian fighters are planning to do.
I was planning to go overseas, but this time instead of me going over, I'm going to bring everyone to me. I've already got 2 Commonwealth Games boxers training with me as my coaches, and 2 Commonwealth Games freestyle wrestlers training with me. So, and the BJJ part, well, I've got that part covered. But instead of me going overseas, I'm bringing everyone to my school this time.
I'm here for a while now, so you know, I'm going to be training at Integrated MMA up in Brisbane for a while with Dan Higgins, and then obviously I'm based out of Albuquerque, Greg Jackson, so obviously I'm going to get back over there before my fight, and I'll be trying to get back to Australia 2 weeks before the fight and finish my camp back here in Australia.
For myself, you know, I've basically set up shop and home over in Washington State, so I've got exceptional talent that I work with out there, and you know, nothing's going to change for me. I'll just stick to what I usually do and come out a week early and just, you know, finish on final prep over here. But, you know, for the bulk of it, I'll be at home, which is over in Washington State.
Any other questions?
I was just wondering, first of all, George, I was at the event in Feb, and the atmosphere was really overwhelming, especially for your entrance and then your victory. Can you just explain what it felt for you, and even the atmosphere, how it influenced your fight with Joe?
You know, I really didn't expect that sort of reception, but I would have to compare it to an AFL Grand Final or a soccer match somewhere over in the UK. I've never heard anything like it, and well, I have now, but you know, I'm looking forward to probably the same thing again this February. Not just for myself, I'm sure they're going to support, you know, all the Australian fighters, and you know, like Kyle and Ant and James will probably receive, you know, the same sort of reception, and you know, it has a very positive influence on the fight. You know, it gives you a great feeling, and it's definitely motivating. But at the end of the day, once those doors close, it's just you and your opponent, and really everything else is irrelevant. So whether the crowd is behind you or whether they're booing, you basically have to, you know, focus on the problem in front of you, which for me is Dennis Seaver. That's all.
Perfect. And for BJ and John, that big fight atmosphere, does that influence you in the same way? Do you kind of have to try and lock it out, or is it something that can, you know, influence you in the fight when you actually get into the cage?
I definitely feel the crowd can influence you, but I think, you know what, for myself, and I'm sure for John too, we've been in so many big fights with so many people. You know, sometimes it's not that you try to block it out, but sometimes you're so focused, like he said, on your opponent, and you forget. Sometimes I forget the crowd and the cameras are there a lot of times. But on the other side, you know, when you're standing, circling the guy in the middle of the ring, and the crowd starts yelling, BJ, BJ, feels good.
Yeah, I have to agree. You get pretty focused, you know, you get that tunnel vision, and you don't pay attention to much, but there's a definite feeding off of the crowd energy. You know, I fought in Ohio, we had 20,000 plus fans in the arena, and you could just feel the energy in the locker room without even seeing how many people were in the stadium. And you definitely feed off of that. Yeah.
Thanks. Jamie,